There is a book that does not wait for you to be ready. It arrives when the window is almost closed, when the version of you that could have changed everything is standing at the edge of its last available hour, when you have run out of the luxury of later. And when it finds you, not if, when, the question is not whether you will read it. The question is whether you will finally see what it has been trying to show you every time you almost picked it up and put it back down. Because you have seen this book before, maybe not this exact book, but the idea of it, the moment of it, that specific quality of clarity that arrives when you realize you are almost out of time and everything you thought you were going to do tomorrow suddenly has nowhere left to land. You have felt that. You have stood in that particular silence where the future collapses into right now, and right now demands that you either look at what you have been avoiding or accept that you never will. This transmission is about that moment, that book, that specific kind of seeing that only becomes possible when the comfortable distance between you and the truth finally runs out. And here is what most people do not understand about urgency. They think it is a threat. They think the feeling of running out of time is the universe punishing them for procrastinating, for choosing comfort over clarity, for looking away one too many times. But urgency is not a punishment, it is a precision instrument. It is the moment when the quantum field stops offering you the full spectrum of possibilities and collapses, by necessity, by physics, by the pure mathematics of time, into a single corridor. And in that corridor, suddenly you can see everything you could not see when you had 1,000 corridors to wander through. The book finds you when you have hours left because that is when you can finally read it. Not because you are desperate, because you are clear. So let's look at this carefully. Let's look at what happens to consciousness when time becomes scarce, what happens to reality when the observer stops having the luxury of looking away, and what becomes possible in the final hours that was never possible in the comfortable middle of a life that felt like it had infinite runway. Because you are here watching this, which means something in you already knows. The book has found you. The question is whether you will open it. Look closer. There is a principle in quantum mechanics called the collapse of the wave function. Before a quantum particle is observed, it exists in what physicists call a superposition, a state of simultaneous possibility. It is not in one place, it is not in one state, it is in all of its possible states at once, distributed across probability like a wave across an ocean. The particle does not choose where to be until it is observed, until something, an instrument, a consciousness, a measuring device, turns its attention toward it and forces it to declare itself. The moment of observation is the moment of collapse. The wave function, which contained every possibility, collapses into a single specific reality. One location, one state, one outcome. This is not a metaphor. This is the most rigorously tested principle in the history of science. The observer does not discover what was already there. The observer creates what is there by the act of looking. Now hold that principle and place it next to this. What do you think happens to your life when you finally stop having the luxury of superposition? Because here is what most people are doing with their time. They are existing in a superposition of their own making. They are simultaneously the person who is going to change and the person who is not going to change yet. They are simultaneously the person who is going to have that conversation and the person who is going to wait until the time is right. They are simultaneously the person who is going to finally look at what has been running their life from the shadows and the person who's going to look at it tomorrow, next week, when things settle down, when they feel more ready. Superposition is comfortable. Superposition feels like freedom. You have not committed to any outcome, which means you have not failed at any outcome. You are still, technically, the person who might do the thing. The possibility is still alive. The wave function has not collapsed. But here's what the comfortable superposition costs you. It costs you reality. It costs you the specific, actual, collapsed into form version of the life that is available to you when you finally look. Because a wave function that never collapses never becomes anything. The particle that is never observed never lands. The life that is never committed to, never looked at directly, never forced into the clarity of a single real choice. That life remains a probability distribution. It remains potential. And potential, no matter how magnificent, is not a life you can actually live. The book that finds you when you have hours left is the book that forces the collapse. And the first thing it shows you is this: you have been choosing superposition, not because you are weak, not because you do not care, because superposition is the only position that protects you from the terror of being wrong. If you never fully commit to the observation, you never have to face what the observation reveals. You can keep the possibility alive without ever having to live inside the reality. Watch what happens in your body when you hear that. Not what you think about it. What happens in your body? Is there a tightening, a recognition, a small, precise discomfort that moves through your chest like something that has been waiting to be named? That is not guilt. That is the wave function beginning to collapse. That is the observer, you right now, finally turning its attention towards something it has been carefully not looking at. And the moment you turn toward it, it begins to declare itself. It begins to become real, not more threatening, more real. And real things, unlike the shapeless dread of avoided possibilities, can be seen, and what can be seen can be changed. That's not belief, that's quantum mechanics. If what you are encountering here is landing for you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. It helps this transmission reach the people who are ready to be found by it. Now let's go deeper. Let me show you something. There is a story about a man named Elias, and this story begins in a library that should not have existed. Elias was the kind of person who had read about transformation his entire life. He had shelves of books about it. He had highlighted passages and dog-eared pages and written notes in margins that said things like yes and this and remember this. He had spent the better part of 2 decades consuming the idea of changing his life with the same dedication that other people spent actually changing their lives. He was, by any measure, an expert in the theory of becoming. He could tell you, with precision, exactly what was holding him back. He could articulate the patterns, name the wounds, trace the genealogy of every limitation back to its origin. He was brilliant at diagnosis. He had never once attempted the cure. On the morning that the story begins, Elias received news that gave him, by his own calculation, approximately 72 hours. Not to live. That is a different story. 72 hours before a decision that had been hovering over his life for 3 years would be made for him by someone else's hand. A business, a relationship, a version of himself that he had been promising to inhabit and had not yet moved into. The specific details do not matter. What matters is that Elias suddenly had a number, and the number was small. And the smallness of the number did something to him that no book had ever managed to do. It made him stop reading about seeing and start actually looking. He was in the library when it happened, his own library, the one with all the books he had read and annotated and never truly used. And he stood there in the middle of it, and he looked at the shelves, and for the first time in 20 years, he did not see a collection of wisdom. He saw a collection of distance. Every book on those shelves was a beautiful, sophisticated, intellectually satisfying way of standing close to the truth without ever touching it. He had been reading about the fire. He had never once let himself burn. And in that moment, 72 hours, the number sitting in his chest like a stone, he saw it. Not the solution, not the answer, he saw himself. The actual self that had been operating underneath all the reading and the highlighting and the margin notes. The self that had been, for 20 years, choosing the map over the territory, choosing the description of water over the experience of being wet, choosing the beautiful, safe, infinitely expandable world of knowing about things over the terrifying, irreversible, completely real world of actually doing them. He saw it. And the moment he saw it, something extraordinary happened. Not a dramatic transformation, not a sudden surge of motivation, something quieter and more permanent than either of those things. The pattern lost its grip because you cannot unsee yourself. Once you have looked directly at the mechanism that has been running your life, you cannot pretend you did not see it. You cannot go back to the comfortable superposition. The wave function has collapsed. The particle has landed. You are now in a specific, real, undeniable location. And that location is the truth. Elias did not fix everything in 72 hours, but he stopped, for the first time in 20 years, pretending he did not know what he needed to do. And that stopping, that single act of clear seeing, was the beginning of the only change that had ever been available to him. The one that starts not with action, but with honest observation. The book found Elias in his own library. It was not a book on his shelves. It was the act of finally looking at what the shelves had been hiding. And here's the bridge. You have your own library. Maybe it is literal. Shelves of books about the life you intend to live. Maybe it is figurative. A collection of conversations you have had about the person you are becoming, plans you have made and revised, intentions you have set and reset, mornings where you decided that today was the day, and evenings where you quietly decided that tomorrow would work just as well. Maybe your library is a folder of saved articles, a notes app full of ideas, a journal that you write in when things get bad enough to require it, and abandon when things become comfortable enough to avoid it. Whatever form your library takes, the question is the same. Are you reading about the fire, or are you letting yourself burn? Because the book that finds you when you have hours left is not asking you to read more carefully. It is asking you to stop reading and start looking at yourself, at what you have actually been doing with your time. At the gap between the person you describe yourself as becoming and the person you are actually being, right now, in this moment, in this body, in this life. What did you see just now when you heard that? When the gap between who you are describing yourself as and who you are actually being came into focus? Drop it in the comments, not the explanation, just what you saw. Look closer. Here is what the quantum field does with avoidance. This is precise. This is measurable. When you consistently direct your attention away from something, When you make the habitual practice choice to not observe a specific aspect of your reality, you do not make it disappear. You make it stable. You make it permanent. Because the quantum field responds to observation, and what you do not observe, you do not collapse. You do not bring it into the specific, workable, changeable realm of actual reality. You leave it in the superposition of avoided possibility, where it exists as a kind of standing wave, unchanging, unexamined, running beneath the surface of your conscious life like a program you forgot you installed. This is why the things you avoid looking at are always the things that seem to run themselves, the relationship pattern that keeps repeating, the financial behavior that you understand intellectually and cannot seem to change, the emotional response that arrives before you can choose it, the self-concept that you have tried to overwrite with affirmations and new beliefs and has somehow always reasserted itself. These are not signs of weakness. They are signs of consistent, practiced avoidance. They are the parts of your life that you have been careful not to observe too directly, because somewhere in you, you know that direct observation is the end of them. And the end of them is also the end of the identity that has been built around them. And that is the actual terror, not the pattern itself. The loss of the identity that the pattern has been holding together. Watch yourself thinking right now. Notice the thought that just moved through you when you heard that. Was there a part of you that immediately began to argue? That began to explain why your situation is different, why the pattern you are thinking of is not really avoidance, why there are external reasons for the things that keep repeating in your life? Notice that argument. Do not fight it. Just watch it. Because the argument itself is data. The argument is the pattern defending itself. The argument is the wave function resisting collapse. And here's what the book shows you when it finds you with hours left. The argument is not you. The argument is the construction. The argument is the accumulated weight of every time you chose the comfortable explanation over the clear observation. And when you watch the argument, when you turn the full light of your attention on the mechanism itself, it begins to dissolve. Not because you defeated it, because you saw it. And what has been seen cannot pretend to be invisible. This is the observer's only weapon. Not force, not willpower, not the sustained effort of trying harder than you have been trying. Clarity, the specific, unflinching, no longer looking away clarity that comes when you finally turn toward the thing you have been turning away from and let it be exactly as real as it actually is. Now let's go deeper into what you are actually seeing when you look at urgency. Because urgency has been misunderstood. It has been treated as an enemy, as the anxious, panicked feeling that arrives when you have waited too long. But urgency is not the feeling of failure. Urgency is the feeling of precision. It is the feeling of the quantum field collapsing your infinite superposition into a single, specific, workable corridor. And in that corridor, something becomes available that was never available in the comfortable expanse of unlimited time. Clarity about what actually matters. When you have hours left to change everything, you stop arguing about what to change. You already know, you have always known. Thy hours have simply removed the option of pretending you do not know, and the pretending, the elaborate, sophisticated, entirely sincere pretending that you do not yet know what you need to do. That is what has been costing you the transformation. Think about the last time you were truly clear, not inspired, not motivated. Clear. The times in your life when you knew, without ambiguity, exactly what you needed to do and exactly who you needed to be to do it. Were those times of comfort and abundance and infinite possibility? Or were they times of constraint, of deadline, of loss, of the specific clarifying pressure of a situation that had stopped offering you the option of ambiguity? Most people will say the latter. Most people, when they look honestly at the moments of their clearest seeing, will find that those moments were not comfortable. They were urgent. They were the moments when the luxury of superposition was revoked by circumstance, and in the revocation, something became visible that the comfort had been hiding. This is not an argument for suffering. This is an observation about the relationship between constraint and clarity. The quantum field does not require you to suffer to collapse. It requires you to observe. And urgency is one of the most powerful observation-forcing mechanisms available to consciousness. It removes the ability to not look. It makes looking the only option. And in that forced looking, in that no longer avoidable seeing, the wave function collapses into something specific and real and workable. The book that finds you when you have hours left is not giving you new information. It is removing your ability to avoid the information you already have. Pause here. This is not a thought exercise. This is an observation. I want you to close your eyes for a moment if you can do that safely. And I want you to bring your attention to something specific. Not a problem, not a goal, a gap. The specific gap between the person you describe yourself as being and the person you are actually being right now. Not the gap as a judgment, as a pure observation, like a scientist looking at data, like a quantum physicist looking at a particle's actual position versus its probable position. What is in that gap? What lives there? What has been living there quietly while you have been describing the person on the other side of it? Watch what comes up. Do not interpret it yet. Do not explain it or justify it or trace it back to its origins. Just watch it. Let it be exactly as real as it is. Let it have the specific shape and texture and weight that it actually has, rather than the shape and texture and weight you have been assigning it in your mind. Now notice what happens to it when you watch it directly. Does it expand? Does it contract? Does it shift? Does it suddenly seem more manageable than it did when it was living in the peripheral vision of your awareness? Does it reveal a specific, concrete thing that you have been avoiding naming? That thing, whatever just became visible, that is the book. That is what it has been trying to show you every time you almost looked and then looked away. That is the wave function that has been waiting to collapse into something real and workable and finally changeable. Open your eyes and let's look at what you just saw. Here is the layer underneath that. The reason the book finds you when you have hours left is not because hours left is a special condition. It is because hours left is an honest condition. It is the condition in which you stop being able to afford the dishonesty of comfortable superposition. And what looks like urgency, what feels like the panic of running out of time, is actually the sensation of becoming honest. The sensation of the pretending ending, the sensation of the gap between who you are and who you have been saying you are finally becoming too small to stand inside comfortably. And here is the thing about that sensation that no one tells you. It feels like danger. It feels like the ground giving way. It feels like the worst possible moment to be in. But it is not the worst possible moment. It is the clearest possible moment. It is the moment when the observer, you, the consciousness that is watching all of this, finally has nowhere to look except directly at what is real. And what is real is not as terrible as you have been making it by not looking at it. This is the discovery that every person who has ever been found by this book reports. Not that the truth was beautiful, not that what they saw when they finally looked was easy or comfortable or free of consequence, but that it was survivable, that the specific, actual, collapsed into form reality of their situation was dramatically more workable than the vast, shapeless, avoided possibility they had been living inside. That the thing they had been not looking at, the thing they had built an entire architecture of distraction and delay and sophisticated avoidance around, was, when finally seen directly, something they could actually work with. Because you can only work with what you can see. You cannot change a pattern you have not observed. You cannot address a truth you have not faced. You cannot move through a door you have been pretending is a wall. The book does not give you power, it gives you sight. And sight, in a quantum universe where the observer is the most fundamental creative force in reality, is the only power that matters. Let me take you deeper into the mechanics of this, because there is a specific quality of observation that transforms, and it is different from the observation that simply confirms what you already believe. Most people, when they finally turn toward the thing they have been avoiding, do not actually observe it. They react to it. They see it for a fraction of a second and then immediately begin the process of managing it, explaining it, contextualizing it, placing it in a framework that makes it less threatening, more familiar, easier to file away. They mistake the first glimpse for the full seeing. They call the initial glance observation and then wonder why nothing changed. True observation is different. True observation is sustained. It is the willingness to look at something past the point of comfort, past the point where your mind begins offering you explanations, past the point where the initial shock of seeing gives way to the familiar territory of understanding. True observation is what happens when you refuse to file the thing away and instead let it remain in the full light of your attention until it reveals itself completely. This is what quantum physicists call a prolonged measurement. In quantum mechanics, the act of measurement, the act of observation, is not a single moment. It is a sustained interaction between the observer and the observed. And the longer and more precise the measurement, the more completely the wave function collapses and the more specific and workable the information becomes. The same principle applies to self-observation. The first look at the thing you have been avoiding gives you the outline. It gives you the shape of it. The second look gives you the texture. The third look gives you the mechanism, the specific way it operates, the precise conditions under which it activates, the exact moment in the sequence where you could intervene. The sustained look gives you something that no amount of reading about it, thinking about it, or talking about it can give you. The direct, unmediated, first-person knowledge of what it actually is. And what it actually is always simpler than what you have been imagining. This is the paradox that the book reveals. The things we avoid looking at grow in our imagination to a size and complexity that makes them feel impossible to address. They become vast, multi-layered, deeply rooted, fundamentally threatening to our sense of self. They become the kind of thing that would require years of work and perfect circumstances and a version of yourself you have not yet become in order to address. They become, in the comfortable dark of not looking, an entire architecture of impossibility. And then you look at them directly, and they are a behavior, a choice, a pattern with a specific trigger and a specific payoff, and a specific moment of intervention. They are not the vast, shapeless monster that lived in the avoided space. They are a mechanism, and mechanisms can be seen. And what can be seen can be changed. The book does not make the work easy, it makes the work possible. Because you cannot do the work you cannot see. Now let's look at the specific quality of time that this book operates in, because the hours it finds you in are not ordinary hours. They are what I would call observation hours. They are the hours when the usual noise of your life, the planning and the scrolling and the managing and the reacting, has been stripped away by the specific pressure of a deadline, a loss, a threshold, a moment of undeniable reckoning. And in the silence left by that stripping away, you can hear something you could not hear before. You can hear what you actually want, not what you have been saying you want, not what makes sense to want given your circumstances and your history and the person you have been presenting yourself as being. What you actually want, the specific, undefended, unperformed desire that has been living underneath all the reasonable explanations for why you have been living the way you have been living. And that desire, that actual, honest, finally audible desire, is the book's first page, because you cannot read what the book has to show you until you know what you are actually looking for. And most people do not know what they are actually looking for because they have been so busy managing the performance of wanting the right things that they have never stopped long enough to hear what they actually want. The hours do that. The hours strip the performance away. And what is left in the silence and the precision and the no longer avoidable clarity of hours left is the truth of what you are. Not the constructed truth, not the curated truth, the actual truth. The one that has been there the entire time, waiting for you to stop being too comfortable to look. Watch what happens in your body when you consider this. When you consider that somewhere underneath all the reasonable explanations and the appropriate goals and the sensible plans, there is a version of what you actually want that you have not let yourself hear clearly in a very long time. Does something in you relax? Does something in you resist? Does something in you want to immediately qualify the idea? To say yes, but that is not realistic, or yes, but that is selfish, or yes, but I tried that and it did not work? Notice the qualification. Watch it. Because the qualification is not wisdom. The qualification is the construction defending itself. The qualification is the pattern that has been keeping you in comfortable superposition, saying, wait, do not collapse yet. Do not become specific. Do not become real. And the qualification sounds like reason. It sounds like maturity. It sounds like the voice of someone who has been around long enough to know that things are complicated. But look closer. Underneath the qualification is a fear, and underneath the fear is the thing you actually want. And the thing you actually want is the first page of the book that has been trying to find you. What this transmission is touching, the observer state, the collapse of avoidance, the specific mechanics of how sustained attention transforms what it looks at. This is the surface of a complete system. If you want to go deeper into the full architecture of how the observer creates reality, Not just in moments of urgency, but as a daily practice, the Quantum Watcher program contains the complete framework that these transmissions can only point toward. The link is in the description. If something in you recognized itself in this transmission, that recognition is worth following. Let me tell you about Mira. Mira was a person who had, by every external measure, built a life that worked. Not a life she had chosen. A life that had assembled itself around the choices she had made by default. The job that she had taken because it was available and she was qualified. The city she had stayed in because leaving required a decision she had never quite made. The relationships she had maintained because they were already there when she arrived at adulthood, and she had never found a compelling enough reason to examine them. Her life worked, it functioned, it produced the outcomes that a functioning life is supposed to produce. And she was, in a specific and precise way that she had never allowed herself to name, completely absent from it. She was not unhappy, she was not in crisis, she was not the kind of person who needed help in any way that help was typically offered. She was simply not there. She was managing the life. She was performing the life. She was, with extraordinary competence, running the life. But the person who had originally wanted something, the person who had arrived at adulthood with a specific, undefended desire for a specific kind of existence, that person had been quietly set aside somewhere along the way. Not rejected, not abandoned, just set aside, just placed on hold. Just deferred to a later date that had never arrived. The book found Mira on an ordinary Tuesday, not a dramatic Tuesday, not a Tuesday with a deadline or a loss or a threshold. Just a Tuesday when she was sitting at her desk in the middle of her functioning life, and something, she could not have said what, made her stop, made her look up from the screen, made her look at the room she was sitting in, the work she was doing, the day she was in the middle of, and see it, not as the background of her life, as the foreground, as the actual content, as the thing that was right now in this moment, her life. And she saw that she was not in it. Not that it was wrong, not that it needed to be different, that she was not in it. That the person sitting at the desk was a very sophisticated, very competent, very well-organized absence. And that absence had been there for so long that she had stopped noticing it the way you stop noticing a sound that has been playing for years. It had become the baseline, the normal, the unremarkable background hum of a life that worked without her. She sat with that seeing for a long time. She did not immediately know what to do with it. She did not immediately identify the specific change that would address it. She simply sat with the observation. She let it be real. She let it have the weight and the specificity and the undeniable presence of a thing that had been seen and could not be unseen. And in the weeks that followed that Tuesday, without dramatic decision or sweeping action, the life began to reorganize. Not because she forced it to, because the observation had changed the observer, because she could no longer run the absence without seeing that she was running it, because the wave function had collapsed and the particle had landed and the specific, real, workable truth of her situation was now available to her in a way that the comfortable superposition had never allowed. The book found Mira on an ordinary Tuesday, and what it showed her was not what to do. It showed her that she was not there, and the moment she saw that she was not there, she began for the first time in a very long time to arrive. Is there a pattern in your own life that you have watched long enough to finally understand? Something that only revealed its mechanism when you stopped reacting and kept looking? Share it in the comments. Your observation may be the permission someone else needs to keep watching. Here's what this means for you. The hours left in this transmission's title are not necessarily literal hours. They are quality of attention. They are the specific, clarifying, superposition, collapsing quality of attention that becomes available when you stop treating your life as something that is going to happen later and start treating it as something that is happening right now. When you stop reading about the fire and let yourself feel the heat. When you stop being the expert on your own patterns and start being the honest observer of them. The hours left are the hours in which you are willing to look, and looking, real looking, sustained looking, the kind of looking that does not flinch and does not file away and does not immediately reach for the explanation. That kind of looking is always available. You do not need a deadline to access it. You do not need a crisis. You need the willingness to be honest about what you see when you look. And that willingness, in a life that has been organized around comfortable superposition, is the most radical act available to you. Here is the layer underneath that. The book that finds you when you have hours left is not a book about urgency. It is a book about honesty. It is the specific, no longer deniable honesty that arrives when the comfortable distance between you and the truth finally runs out. And that honesty is not a destination, it is a practice. It is the daily, sometimes uncomfortable, always clarifying practice of turning toward the thing you have been turning away from and letting it be exactly as real as it actually is. This is what the observer state is. Not a special condition, not an elevated consciousness that you access through meditation or practice or the right circumstances. The observer state is what remains when you stop performing and start watching, when you stop managing your experience and start actually having it, when you stop being the expert on your life and start being the honest witness to it. And here's what the observer state reveals that nothing else can. It reveals the gap between your actual behavior and your stated values. Not as a judgment, as data. It reveals the patterns that have been running beneath the surface of your conscious choices, not as failures, as mechanisms. It reveals the specific, precise, workable truth of where you actually are versus where you have been saying you are. Not as a condemnation, as a starting point. Because you can only start from where you actually are. You cannot start from where you have been saying you are. You cannot start from the version of yourself that exists in the comfortable superposition of your best intentions. You can only start from the specific, real, collapsed into form reality of this moment, this body, this life, exactly as it actually is. And the book shows you exactly as it actually is. That is why it finds you when you have hours left. Because hours left is when you are finally willing to let exactly as it actually is be true. Let's do the second practice. This one goes deeper. Pause here. This is not a thought exercise. This is an observation. I want you to identify the one thing in your life that you have been most consistently not looking at directly. Not the thing you have been thinking about, the thing you have been thinking around, the thing you circle in your thoughts without landing on, the thing you approach in conversation and then redirect, the thing that lives in the peripheral vision of your awareness, always present, never fully seen. You know what it is. You knew before I finished describing it. Now I want you to look at it. Not think about it, not analyze it. Look at it. Turn the full attention of your observer, the part of you that is watching right now, the part of you that has been watching this entire transmission. Turn it toward that thing. Let it be in the center of your vision, not the periphery. Let it be specific. Let it have a shape and a texture and a weight. Let it be as real as it actually is. Notice what happens. Notice what your mind does. Does it immediately begin to explain? Does it reach for context and history and the reasons why this thing is the way it is? Does it begin to minimize, to say this is not that big a deal? Other people have it worse. I am being dramatic. Or does it expand? Does it begin to catastrophize, to make the thing larger and more threatening than it actually is? Watch the mind's response to the observation. Watch the defense mechanisms activate. Watch the pattern defend itself. And then, underneath all of that, underneath the explanation and the minimization and the catastrophizing, look at the actual thing, the specific, real, undramatized, unminimized truth of it. What does it actually need? Not what do you need to do about it? What does it actually need from you? What has it been needing from you? What would you have to give it if you were going to give it what it actually needs? Sit with that. Do not rush to the answer. Let the observation be complete before you reach for the response. Because here is what the book shows you in this moment. The thing you have been avoiding looking at has not been asking you to fix it. It has been asking you to see it, and seeing it, really seeing it, with the full, sustained, unflinching attention of the observer, is not a step toward the change. It is the change. The change begins the moment the observation is complete, not the moment you decide what to do, the moment you finally, actually, honestly see what is there. Now let's look at the specific architecture of the hours themselves, because there is something about the final hours, the hours before a threshold, before a decision becomes irreversible, before the window closes, that has a specific quality of light, not metaphorical light, the actual quality of perception that changes when time becomes scarce. In ordinary time, in the comfortable, abundant, unlimited time of a life that feels like it has infinite runway, perception is wide. It is diffuse. It is distributed across the past and the future and the 1,000 possible versions of what might happen and what might have been. In ordinary time, you are never fully here because here is just one of many possible positions, and the others are all so available and so comfortable that here rarely gets your full attention. In the final hours, perception narrows, not in a way that limits, in a way that focuses. The past becomes irrelevant, not because it does not matter, but because there is no longer time to live inside it. The future becomes a single corridor rather than an infinite field of possibility. And the present, the specific, actual, happening right now present, becomes the only place there is. And in that narrowing, in that forced presence, in that no longer avoidable now, something extraordinary becomes available. The thing that has been most real about your life all along, which has been obscured by the comfortable diffusion of unlimited time, suddenly becomes visible. Not because it changed, because you finally have no choice but to be exactly where you are. This is what meditators spend years trying to achieve. This is what the contemplative traditions call presence, or nowness, or the direct experience of reality as it actually is. And the final hours, the hours of urgency and threshold and no more later, give it to you without years of practice. Not because urgency is better than practice, because urgency removes the option of absence. It forces you into the present the way that practice, for most people, can only invite you. And in that forced presence, in that no longer optional nowness, you see things about your life that the comfortable diffusion of unlimited time has been hiding from you. You see what you actually value versus what you have been saying you value. You see what you actually want versus what you have been performing wanting. You see what you have actually been doing versus what you have been intending to do. You see, with a clarity that is almost physical in its precision, exactly where you are. And exactly where you are is always the beginning. Now let's look at what the book actually contains. Because the book that finds you when you have hours left is not a book of instructions. It is not a how-to guide for the final hours. It is not a collection of strategies for making the most of limited time. The book contains one thing and one thing only, and that one thing is the thing you already know. The book contains you, your actual self. Not the constructed self, the actual self. The self that has been watching all of this. The self that was present before the constructions were built and will be present after they dissolve. The self that has known all along what it needed to see and has been waiting with extraordinary patience for you to be willing to look. This is the quantum truth at the center of the observer effect. The observer is not separate from the observed. The act of observation is not something that happens to reality from the outside. The observer and the observed are aspects of a single system, and the moment of observation is the moment the system becomes aware of itself. The moment the wave function collapses is not the moment something external measures the particle. It is the moment the system reaches the level of coherence required to know itself. You are the book. You have always been the book. The hours left are not the time remaining before you read it. They are the time remaining before you stop pretending you have not already read it. Before you stop pretending that you do not already know what it says. Before you stop using the comfortable superposition of not yet knowing as a shield against the terrifying, irreversible, completely real responsibility of actually knowing. Because knowing is not the hard part. You already know. You have always known. The hard part is letting yourself know that you know. The hard part is collapsing the comfortable superposition of I'm still figuring it out into the specific, workable, no longer deniable reality of I know what I need to do and I have known for a long time. And the moment you let yourself know that you know, the moment the wave function collapses into that specific, honest, finally real position, everything changes. Not because you suddenly have new information, because you are no longer spending the enormous energy required to maintain the pretense of not knowing. And that energy, released from the work of pretending, becomes available for the work of actually doing, the work of actually being, the work of actually living the life that has been waiting for you on the other side of the observation. Look closer. Because here is the thing that the book reveals on its final page, and it is the thing that everything else has been building toward. The hours left are not a warning. They are an invitation. Every moment of your life in which you have felt the specific, clarifying pressure of urgency, every moment when the comfortable distance between you and the truth has collapsed, when the luxury of superposition has been revoked, when the no more later has arrived. Every one of those moments has been an invitation, not to panic, not to scramble, not to do all the things you have been not doing in a compressed and frantic rush. An invitation to see with the full, sustained, unflinching attention of the observer exactly what is real, exactly what matters. exactly who you are and what you have been doing and what you have been avoiding, and what has been running your reality from the shadows of your careful inattention. And in that seeing, in that specific, honest, no longer avoidable seeing, the transformation is not ahead of you. It is not something you need to achieve or work toward or be ready for. The transformation is the seeing itself. The change is the observation. The moment you truly look at what has been running your reality, it loses its power over you. Not because you defeated it, because you saw it. And what has been seen cannot pretend to be invisible. What has been observed cannot remain in the comfortable superposition of the unexamined. What has been collapsed into the specific, real, workable form of direct observation cannot retreat back into the vast, shapeless, controlling form of the avoided. This is the quantum mechanics of transformation. This is the observer effect applied to the most important system you will ever study, yourself. This is what the book has been trying to show you every time you almost looked and then looked away. Every time you picked it up and put it back down, every time you came close to the edge of the honest seeing and retreated into the comfortable explanation. The book has been patient, it has been waiting, and now it has found you. Let me take you to the final practice, and this one is the deepest. Pause here. This is not a thought exercise, this is an observation. I want you to bring your full attention to the observer itself, not to what you are observing, to the one who is observing. The one who has been watching this entire transmission, the one who was watching before you press play, the one who will be watching after this ends. Who is that? Not what is that other, who? Not the name you go by, not the story you tell about yourself, not the history or the goals or the patterns or the constructions. The one who is watching all of that. The one who can see the name without being the name. The one who can watch the story without being the story. The one who can observe the pattern without being the pattern. That one. The one who is watching right now. Who is that? Let yourself stay with the question, not the answer, the question. Because the question is the practice. The question is the observation. The moment you turn your attention toward the observer itself, the moment you try to look at the one who is looking, something extraordinary happens. The observer cannot be observed in the way that objects are observed. The observer is always one step behind the observation, always the subject, never the object, always the one looking, never the one looked at. And in that recognition, in the precise, undeniable recognition that there is something in you that cannot be reduced to an object, that cannot be collapsed into a specific, definable, limited form, that is always and only the one who sees. In that recognition, the deepest layer of the book reveals itself. You are not what you have been observing. You are not the pattern. You are not the construction. You are not the gap between who you are and who you have been saying you are. You are the one who sees the gap. You are the one who can observe the pattern. You are the one who can look at the construction without being trapped inside it. And that one, the observer, the witness, the one who is always already watching, that one is not limited by what it has been observing. That one is not defined by the patterns it has seen. That one is not confined by the constructions it has watched being built. That one is free. Not in the future, when the patterns change and the constructions dissolve and the gaps are closed. Free now, in this moment, in this act of watching, in this specific, real, happening right now recognition that you are the observer and the observer is the most powerful position in the universe. Not because it controls, because it sees. And seeing, in a quantum universe where observation is the fundamental creative act of consciousness, is the only power that matters. Now let's look at what this means for the hours you have left, not the hours in the title, the hours in your actual life, the hours that are available to you right now in this specific moment, before whatever threshold or deadline or closing window is real for you. Because there is always a threshold. There is always a window. There is always a version of the hours left that is real and present and specific to your actual situation. And in those hours, in the specific, real, available hours of your actual life, the book is open. It has been open. It has been showing you exactly what you need to see. The only question that has ever been relevant is whether you are willing to read it, not to read about it, to read it, to let the observation be complete, to let the wave function collapse into the specific, real, workable truth of where you actually are and what you actually want and what you have actually been doing and what it would actually take to close the gap between the life you are living and the life that is available to you on the other side of the honest seeing. Because the life on the other side of the honest seeing is not a fantasy. It is not a distant possibility. It is the specific, real, collapsed into form version of the life that the quantum field has been holding in superposition, waiting for you to observe it into existence. Waiting for you to turn the full, sustained, unflinching attention of the observer toward it and let it become real. And it becomes real the moment you look, not the moment you decide, not the moment you act, the moment you look, because the observation is the act, the seeing is the doing. The honest, sustained, no longer looking away attention of the observer is the most powerful creative force available to consciousness. This is not belief. This is quantum mechanics. Here's what I want you to carry from this transmission. Not a list of things to do, not a set of strategies for making the most of your remaining hours. One thing. The thing that the book has been showing you from the first page. The observer is not a passive position. The observer is the most active position available to consciousness. It is the position from which reality is created, not observed. It is the position from which patterns dissolve, not because they are fought, but because they are seen. It is the position from which the life you have been not quite living becomes available. Not because you finally figured out the right strategy, but because you finally looked at it directly enough for it to become real. You are the observer. You have always been the observer. The hours left are not the time remaining before you become the observer. They are the time remaining before you stop pretending you are not already the observer. Before you stop using the comfortable superposition of not yet ready as a shield against the terrifying, irreversible, completely real recognition that you are already the thing you have been waiting to become. The observer is here. The observer has always been here. The observer is watching right now in this moment with a clarity and a precision and a completeness that no amount of preparation could improve. And what the observer sees when it finally stops looking away is not a problem. It is not a failure. It is not a vast, shapeless, impossible challenge. It is a life, specific, real, workable, and waiting. Waiting for the observer to look at it directly, waiting for the wave function to collapse, waiting for the moment of honest, sustained, no longer avoidable seeing that turns the probability into the actual. That moment is now. Not because you have hours left, because you are here, because you are watching, because something in you recognized the book when it arrived and you opened it, and you let it show you what it had been trying to show you every time you almost looked and then looked away. You looked, and what has been seen cannot be unseen. Now let's talk about what you saw. Because this is not a solo practice. The observer state is amplified in the presence of other observers. When you share what you saw, when you name the specific thing that became visible during this transmission, the specific gap or pattern or truth that you have been circling without landing on, you do two things. You make it more real for yourself. You make it more possible for someone else. So in the comments, and I mean this as a genuine practice, not a performance, drop the one word that describes what you observed during this transmission, not what you thought, not what you understood, what you observed. The specific thing that became visible when you finally looked directly at it. One word. The word that names the thing that has been living in your peripheral vision. And if you are willing to go further, if you are willing to make the observation complete and public and therefore irreversible in the most useful way, share what you saw when you looked, the specific thing you had been avoiding. Not the explanation, not the history, just the honest, specific, no longer avoidable truth of what you saw when you finally looked at it directly. Because that sharing is not vulnerability. It is observation made permanent. It is the wave function collapsed into language, which means it can no longer retreat back into the comfortable superposition of the unspoken. And the unspoken, in a quantum universe where observation is the fundamental creative act, is the only thing that keeps the pattern in place. Speak it. Watch it. Let it be real, and then watch what happens to it when it is real. If this transmission reached you, if something in it found the thing you have been not quite looking at and turned the light on it, share it with someone who is also in the hours, not someone who needs to be convinced, someone who's already standing at the edge of the honest seeing and just needs to know that looking is survivable. That what is seen is not as terrible as what has been imagined. That the observer state is available right now, in this moment, without any special preparation or perfect circumstances or version of themselves they have not yet become. When you share it with that person, you are not just passing along a video, you are giving them permission to look. And that permission, offered by someone who has already looked, creates a field of observation between you, one that makes the seeing clearer for both of you than either could have managed alone. Share it with that person, because the book finds people when they are ready to be found, and you might be the reason someone is ready. Here is the integration principle for this transmission. For the next 7 days, not forever, 7 days, I want you to practice one specific form of observation. Every time you notice yourself looking away from something, stop. Not to force yourself to look, just to notice that you are looking away, to observe the avoidance without immediately acting on it, to let the act of looking away be visible to you in the moment it is happening. Because the moment the avoidance is visible, it is no longer automatic. The moment you can see yourself looking away, you have stepped into the observer position relative to the avoidance itself. And from that position, from the position of watching yourself avoid rather than simply avoiding, the choice to look becomes available. Not mandatory, available. And available is all the observer needs. 7 days of noticing when you look away. That is the practice. Not fixing what you see, not changing what you observe, just watching. just letting the avoidance be visible, just practicing the one skill that makes every other change possible, because you cannot change what you cannot see, and you cannot see what you are looking away from, and you cannot stop looking away until you can see yourself doing it. The observer sees the observer, and in that recursive act of seeing, in that moment when the one who watches turns its attention on the act of watching itself, the entire architecture of comfortable superposition begins to dissolve, not dramatically, not all at once, with the quiet, precise, unstoppable force of a truth that has been seen and cannot be unseen. You have hours left, not as a warning, as a gift, as the specific, clarifying, superposition, collapsing gift of a moment in which the comfortable distance between you and the truth has run out, and what remains is the clear, honest, finally real recognition of exactly where you are and exactly what is available to you from exactly here. The book has found you. It found you when you press play. It found you in the first moment of recognition, when something in you heard the title and knew, not thought, knew, that this was for you. It found you in every moment of this transmission when something became visible that had been living in your peripheral vision. It found you in the practices, in the parable, in the precise and unflinching observation of the things you have been most carefully not looking at. The book has found you, and what it has shown you cannot be unseen. What has been observed cannot return to the comfortable superposition of the unexamined. The wave function has collapsed, the particle has landed. You are now in a specific, real, workable position, and that position is the truth. And the truth, no matter how long you have been avoiding it, is always the beginning, not the end, the beginning. The specific, real, honest, finally collapsed into form beginning of the only change that has ever been available to you. The one that starts not with action, but with observation. The one that begins the moment you stop looking away. You are the observer. The observer is the most powerful position in the universe, not because it controls, because it sees. And what you see, you change. And what you change, by seeing it clearly and honestly and without flinching, is not just a pattern or a behavior or a gap between who you are and who you have been saying you are. What you change is the entire quantum field that has been organized around your avoidance, the entire architecture of probability that has been held in superposition by your careful inattention, the entire reality that has been waiting with extraordinary patience for you to finally look at it directly and let it become real. That reality is available. It has always been available. It had been available in every moment when you almost looked and then looked away. It is available now, in this moment, in this specific, real, happening right now moment, where you are the observer and the observation is complete and the wave function is collapsing and the particles landing and the life that has been waiting for you on the other side of the honest seeing is becoming, right now, real. If this transmission found you at the right moment, return to it when the noise of the day has settled, or the next time you feel yourself reacting instead of watching. That is precisely when this level of seeing becomes available again. And if you know someone standing at the edge of something they have been afraid to look at directly, send this to them. The act of sharing creates something neither of you can generate alone, a field of collective observation that makes the looking survivable for both. Look, see, watch what happens when you stop looking away. The book has found you, and you have found yourself in it. You were never meant to look away. Stay in the clarity. Stay in the observer state. Stay in the specific, honest, no longer avoidable recognition of exactly who you are and exactly what is available to you from exactly here. Because the observer who watches clearly, who refuses to look away, who maintains the sustained and unflinching attention of the one who sees, that observer is not waiting for the transformation to arrive. That observer is the transformation. And now you see, and what has been seen cannot be unseen. The observer who has just watched this is ready for the next layer. There is a transmission called "Once you see the autopilot running, everyone around you, nothing looks the same." And it takes precisely what you just practiced here and turns it outward, showing you how the same unconscious superposition you have been living inside is running the people around you. Seeing it in others is what makes it permanently, irreversibly visible in yourself.